In 1862, plans were launched to create a direct connection between Amsterdam and the North Sea. To the east, the North Sea Canal would empty into the Zuiderzee, which was still tidal at the time. In 1870, King Willem III laid the first stone of the series of locks between the North Sea Canal and the Zuiderzee. A lead container was installed, containing a certificate testifying to the King's patronage. The King approved the proposal to call the new locks the Oranje locks. By 1871, the entire complex, with its 3 locks, was complete. The first ships passed through on the 18th of March, 1872. And they've been using the locks ever since.
Nou kijk, daar zit het oude metselwerk nog. Dat is van 1870. En ja, in de loop der tijden is er aardig wat veranderd aan die sluis natuurlijk. Vroeger waren dat sluizen met inhammen, wat voor de scheepvaart moeilijk in te varen was. Nu zijn die gelijk gemaakt door houten schotten te plaatsen, zodat er een geleidewerk is waar de schepen langs glijden. Vroeger werden de sluizen bediend door middel van kettingen die aan de deuren vastzaten. Nu gaat alles elektrisch. Nu wordt het elektrisch bediend. Dat is het sluisleidingscentrum waarvanuit de sluizen bediend worden op het ogenblik. We hebben contact via de marifoon. De schipper die roept op en dan in het sluisleidingscentrum geven ze hem antwoord. En dan wordt er gelijk verteld welke sluis dat hij krijgt en wanneer dat hij aan de beurt is.
The most remarkable thing about the Oranje locks is that they have stood the test of time. The entire complex, with its 3 chambers built over 100 years ago, is still the most important set of locks in the Netherlands. But there's no more room for manoeuvre. They've finally reached their limit now. Back when the IJsselmeer was still the Zuiderzee, the tides meant the water levels were always different. Locks had to be built so that ships could sail into and out of the North Sea Canal, even when the water level was different in the Zuiderzee. Now that there are no longer tides in the IJsselmeer, the most obvious solution to the lack of capacity might seem to be to remove the locks, but that's not possible. Storms still cause major differences in water level. Furthermore, salt water from the North Sea flows eastwards from the locks in IJmuiden, over the bed of the North Sea Canal and the River IJ. The Oranje locks form a barrier to the salt water. If they were removed, it would flow into the IJsselmeer, which we don't want to happen, because the IJsselmeer is a drinking water reservoir. So we have to find another solution, although you wouldn't think so, judging by the number of ships. In 1880, almost 90,000 commercial vessels used the locks, compared with 60,000 in 1992. In 1950, there were 58,000, and in 1990, 57,000. That might not seem like a problem, but it is, because if you look at the tonnage passing through the locks, you can see that it increased more than 5-fold between 1950 and 1990 alone. In other words, inland vessels have become bigger. We have reached the point where some of them no longer fit in the Oranje locks and have to take another route.
Nou, als het schip langer is dan de sluis is 83 meter, maar we schutten 90 meter. Dat doen we om het schip zo ver mogelijk tegen de deur aan te laten varen. Dan kan die deur in feite niet meer open. Maar op het moment dat we het uitvaren, dan laten we eerst de ene deur open gaan. Dan laten we het schip overgaan en dan gaat de andere deur open en dan kan die eruit. Dat heet achter de deur schutten.
But there are no tricks to help ships longer than 90 meters. And there's another problem. In 1960, 7,500 pleasure craft passed through the Oranje locks. By 1990, the figure had risen to over 60,000. The ratio between intensity and capacity has become critical. In practice, it means longer waiting times, sometimes unacceptably long. Dangerous situations, not only because of the greater burden on the locks, but also because of the differences in size, robustness, engine capacity, maneuverability, steermanship and experience.
Ze zijn niet zo gewend als een beroepsschipper om een sluis in en uit te varen. Dus, en als dat dan samen met de beroepsvaart moet, dan ja, geeft dat nogal angstige toestanden voor die mensen.
And what of the future? Ships will continue to get bigger. The Oranje locks can take ships up to a maximum of 90 meters, while the Amsterdam-Rhine Canal can take barges of up to 190 meters. People are becoming more and more prosperous in the Netherlands, so the number of pleasure vessels is likely to carry on increasing, although perhaps less rapidly than over the last few decades. We have to conclude that the Oranje locks have reached their absolute limit.
Nou, de sluis zou eigenlijk helemaal gerepareerd moeten worden. Maar we wachten tot de nieuwe sluis klaar is en dan begint de grote renovatie van de oude complex.
From a technical point of view, the locks won't last much longer. But they are on an important route, and what's more, the government has indicated in its second structured scheme for traffic and transport that it wants to encourage the transport of freight by water. This will only be possible if there is enough room on the waterways and if water transport is an economically attractive option for clients. Something has to be done so that water traffic continues to move smoothly, even in large volumes. This automatically means that the capacity of the locks must be expanded. You can do this in three ways: by lengthening the current chambers, building a whole new complex, or adding one extra, larger chamber. Lengthening the present chambers was found to be unfeasible for the simple reason that it would not be possible to put any of them out of action, even for an hour. To build a whole new complex would be too much of a good thing. So in 1984, it was decided that a new fourth chamber should be built, and that the existing complex should then be modernized. A fourth lock chamber? But where and how? After much deliberation, Rijkswaterstaat recommended a slightly different version near the Schellingwoud Bridge. The Royal Merchant Seamen's Association, Schuttewaar, suggested making it wider and building it slightly further westward. This would increase its capacity and taller vessels would be able to pass through. The association's recommendation was adopted after a few amendments. The fourth chamber is to the south of the existing complex. The axis of the lock runs from the middle section of the Schellingwoud Bridge to the entrance of the Amsterdam-Rhine Canal. And it can take ships and combinations up to 200 meters in length, 23 meters 80 wide, and with a draft of 3 meters 30. It will have a new control center and a special place where vessels, including those carrying dangerous substances, can queue and get into position. The traffic situation won't become any simpler, but now we will be able to cope. The first gate of the fourth lock chamber was installed on the 18th of February 1994. The world had never seen anything like it before. Not because it's straight. You can see quite a lot of straight gates that are rolled into the lock from the side. The unusual thing about this gate is that it does not run along rails, but glides into the lock in a channel on hydro feet. hydrofeet push water under high pressure between the two surfaces. This makes a thin, lubricating layer of water over which the gate can slide very easily. Repair and maintenance are easy. Each hydrofoot can be simply removed from above and replaced. If there's a fault in one of the hydrofeet, you don't have to take out the entire gate. A lot of work, mainly earthworks and water engineering, had to be done before the first gate could be put in position. The second eastern gate was installed in August 1994, right on time. A reserve gate was made in case of emergencies, and also to allow maintenance to be carried out. The guiders were installed, and on the 23rd of December 1994, the whole of the fourth lock was finished in technical terms, including the control mechanism. Testing could begin. This took 2 or 3 months, after which the traffic guidance system, which guides the ship safely into the lock, became operational. Each ship is tracked from its port of departure to its final destination, and thanks to the shipping guidance system, the IVS 90, all the necessary information goes with the ship. The controllers know at all times exactly where each vessel will be, so any potential problems can be dealt with before they occur. It also helps them to ensure that the planning at the Oranje locks is tailored precisely to the amount of traffic coming in. On the 9th of March 1995, 124 years after King Willem's declaration, a member of the royal family officially opened the new Prince Willem-Alexander lock. The old locks are being repaired one by one. Time will tell whether they can manage another 120 years. At any rate, transportation of freight by water now has plenty of room here.